Hey student, phrasal verbs, are they really necessary or not really? That's what I'm gonna talk about in this video. Coming up. Hey friends, Teacher Prix here to help you talk to anyone, anywhere, anytime in English. First of all, thank you so much for joining me on another lesson. If it's your first time around here, hey, thank you for giving me an opportunity to teach you. Please consider subscribing because from Monday to Friday, I post different kinds of lessons to help you become a better and more confident English speaker. So hey, check it out. Anyways, my friends, today we are going to talk about phrasal verbs. I'm not going to teach you phrasal verbs here, okay? The phrasal verb videos are on Mondays. Every Monday I post a different phrasal verb video. But as I'm always posting a lot of phrasal verbs here, every now and then I get this question, hey, do I really need to learn all these phrasal verbs, teacher? Is that important? Why do you show us so many phrasal verbs? And you inspired me to make this video, so thank you. I don't have a specific name here because several different people asked me this question in different videos. So this was something that I started to think about, and maybe this is your question. Do you really need phrasal verbs? Are phrasal verbs a necessity or BS? Do you know what BS is? Haha, if you're curious to know what BS is, it's a bad word. It's bullshit. But YouTube can't hear that, because if YouTube hears that, it's not good for my video. So BS is a bad thing, a stupid thing. It's not necessary, okay? But you should Google that. And I'm sure you will get the answer to BS. So the first thing that I can tell you is that phrasal verbs is not BS, okay? It is a necessity. And I want to clear this out right now because there are many English learners who still believe that phrasal verbs are not important. But hey, dude, it is. And I'm going to give you some explanations that will help you understand the real necessity of phrasal verb. Because maybe what you don't understand is the real necessity of the phrasal verb. Because quite honestly, my friends, there are moments when you don't need phrasal verbs and you don't need to pressure yourself to know and to learn and to memorize all phrasal verbs just because it's important. It's important, but at the end of the day, I want you to be a communicator and not just a person who knows many phrasal verbs. That's not what I want you to be. I want you to be a confident English speaker. Now, if you know many phrasal verbs or not, you don't need to know many phrasal verbs to achieve that, but it's a plus. Now, let's dive into the content. The first thing you need to understand is the relevance. How relevant are phrasal verbs? Now, let's forget a little bit about the phrasal verb itself. To study and to learn vocabulary in English, you need to have a clear purpose, a clear goal. So why are you studying vocabulary? For what situations? Because many English learners come to me and say, teacher, I need to improve my vocabulary. Okay, but that's very general. Why? In what conversations do you have problems to communicate? So you need to have a goal in mind because then it'll be easier for you to learn phrasal verbs. Because how is that phrasal verb you are studying relevant for you? How is that phrasal verb going to help you in real life, in real conversations? How can you study that phrasal verb so that you can remember it in real life conversations? This is actually something that I do on my channel every Monday when I'm making videos. When I make the phrasal verb videos, I always have some real life examples. And why do I like to call them real life examples? Because I like to think of real scenarios. Maybe you are at work having a conversation with a colleague. Maybe you are talking to an officer you know, a police officer. Maybe you're having a conversation with your girlfriend or boyfriend or friend, and this is the moment when I like to insert the phrasal verbs and give you real life examples so that you can really memorize and understand those phrasal verbs. But that's the first step. That's the first part of the process. You need to do a little bit more work, and I can talk about that in a future video if you're interested. But if you analyze the relevance, the situation when you're going to study a phrasal verb, then it begins to be clear what kind of phrasal verbs you should study. Because in reality, every week I give you many different phrasal verbs, but you need to have this filter. You need to analyze what's relevant and what is not. Because if you pressure yourself into knowing all the phrasal verbs because they are all important, what's going to happen? You will feel pressure, you will feel stressed. And when we are stressed, we get stuck because we don't get enough oxygen in our brain. And when we get nervous and we're trying to communicate in English, it doesn't work. So you are not going to remember vocabulary if you are under pressure, if you don't connect it to a conversation that is relevant to you. Okay, so this is the first thing you need to analyze. Why am I studying this? What's the purpose of this phrasal verb? When I'm gonna use it? How am I gonna use it? Okay, teacher Prix gave me some examples, but how can I bring this to my life? Because I give you some examples, some real life examples where native speakers would use those phrasal verbs, but now you need to analyze your life. When I teach you a phrasal verb, you need to think, okay, teacher Prix gave me a nice example. Now, how can I bring this to my life? How can I use this in my life? How can I create some examples that are connected to my everyday, to the things I do, to the things I enjoy, to the things I am interested in? That's how you create relevance. You need to understand the relevance of that phrasal verb if you want to study. Okay, that's the first thing. And hey, if you're enjoying this video, make sure to hit the like button. When you do that, it helps YouTube understand that this video is relevant. Yes, and you also help other people because then YouTube will understand that this is nice and it'll share with more people. And if possible, share the video too, you know, this helps the channel grow. Anyways, let's get to the next slide. Now, the next thing that I want to emphasize here, the more, the better. No, just because every week I show you 3 phrasal verbs, every week, if you're new to my channel, every week I teach 3 to 4 phrasal verbs. It's usually 3. That's usually the number I teach. So I've been making videos every day from Monday to Friday, I think for more than 3 months now. So do the math. There are many phrasal verbs here on my channel, so check it out. Now, does it mean that you need to know all the phrasal verbs that I teach you? Absolutely not. So although I post phrasal verbs every week for you, you don't need to know all of them, okay? Again, we go back to the first point, relevance. How can these phrasal verbs make your life easier? How can they help you communicate more easily, more efficiently? How can you insert this phrasal verb in your life, in examples of things that you talk about? Because I don't know you. Today in my channel, there are people from all continents. Yeah, all continents watch my channel. So I have no idea what your life is like, the things you enjoy, your interests, your job, your routine, the people you are surrounded with. You know, like I don't know anything about you. So you need to analyze that and decide what are the best phrasal verbs for you. And let me be very clear. It has nothing to do with number, okay? I have private students of all levels. I have beginners, I have intermediate speakers, I have advanced speakers, I have fluent speakers who are just doing like a maintenance course. They just practice conversation so they don't forget. So I have all kinds of clients. So depending on the client, I use more phrasal verbs. Depending on the client, I use fewer phrasal verbs. And it's okay because it's not about quantity. Here on my channel, when I am making the videos for you, I try to reduce the number of phrasal verbs I use because I know that if I complicate too much, I'm not going to help you. And I am here to help you. I'm here to help you improve your English. So you need to analyze the question, the matter of number, which is not something you should focus on, okay? I have my list of favorite phrasal verbs, and I'm always trying to find ways to use them. I'm always coming up with ways to use those phrasal verbs. Come up with is one phrasal verb I really enjoy. But quite honestly, I don't focus on a number. Today, I can't really tell you how many phrasal verbs I know because that doesn't really matter. What matters is, am I being a good communicator? Do people who watch my videos understand me? Am I being clear? So that's what matters. That's what is the most important thing if you want to become a fluent English speaker. So forget the number, okay? And finally, let me take this down. Why do I have so many phrasal verb videos? Okay, I got this question too. Wow, teacher, you post so many phrasal verbs. Why? Because you say that it's not about number, it's about quality. Well, again, as I said, I don't know where you're from. I don't know what you do. I don't know who you are. So here I have many different kinds of people watching my channel. So I try to present you with a variety of phrasal verbs so that you can filter and make the best decision of what phrasal verbs will help you in your communication, will help you with comprehension, because many English learners believe they have to know phrasal verbs to use in conversations. But that's not the only goal. I'm not going to say it's the main goal, but it's not the only goal. When you are communicating in English, you need to understand phrasal verbs. Because let me be quite clear, and this is something that I talk a lot to people in my email list. Sometimes it's about understanding. It's not about using the vocabulary. So I'm always studying phrasal verbs because I know that native speakers use a lot of phrasal verbs. So I prepare myself by reading and learning phrasal verbs so that I can be better prepared in conversations. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm doing two things. I am helping different people find different options of phrasal verbs, and also I'm helping you become a better listener. You will be able to better understand native speakers that talk to you at work or at a party or at a restaurant or during an international trip or at immigrations or if you're taking a course abroad or at work when you're having meetings in English. That's how I'm helping you with that's how I want to help you, okay? And these videos, they serve this purpose, either so that you can have ideas of phrasal verbs you can use, or to help you understand native speakers that use phrasal verbs all the time. And this is also a point that to end today's lesson. Phrasal verbs are used, okay? Native speakers use phrasal verbs, so you should dedicate some time to studying them. But try to follow these recommendations and these ideas that I've given you in this lesson today. Analyze the relevance, analyze how you're going to use them, connect the phrasal verbs to your life, to things you do, to yourself, because that's how you are really going to learn, okay? Now I have a question for you. Where is the question? I want to know your opinion. Yes! Do you think phrasal verbs are important? Post here in the comments. Please participate. The more you participate, the better. I love to see comments, so let me know. Share your opinion. Do you think phrasal verbs are important? If yes, explain. If no, explain too. I would love to know. And if possible, if you enjoyed this lesson, if you found this lesson helpful, help other people by sharing this video on your social media, or maybe sharing with a friend or two on Instagram or Messenger or WhatsApp, because that way you help other people understand more about phrasal verbs, okay? Other than that, my friends, have a lovely night or a lovely day, and I will see you tomorrow for another lesson. Bye-bye.